From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
The fastest growing school district in the state of Montana showing a little slowdown. What that means for the Bozeman School District coming up.
Downtown Bozeman businesses respond to the Gallatin City County Health Department's newest regulations designed to help limit the spread of the virus. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have that story coming up.
Well, happy Tuesday. You're watching Montana This Morning. I'm Holly Brantley here with Chet Lehman and Matt Elwell. And we have another day and another round of struggling temperatures.
Hey, you like that, don't you?
I just do.
No.
Because I can't put my parka away.
No, and we're not done yet.
Literally.
It's sitting on the ground there.
No, it's in your hand. Yeah, no.
There's nothing to see here.
It does get cold in the studio.
It does get chilly in here. There's no doubt about that.
Temperature sitting into the teens for most of us. 21 right now, the report that we're getting from Innis. We're likely going to pick up a little light snow through the day today. We're talking flurries, not a lot of accumulation, probably more toward the morning rather than the afternoon. Daytime temperatures for you, struggling. Yeah, daytime highs into the upper 20s, maybe near 30 degrees for parts of the area, but we're still looking at a little light snow. Take a look at what you can expect for road conditions and accumulations. That's coming up in just a little bit.
I'm waiting for you to say something like temperatures are toughing it out. They're in the 60s today.
Maybe I will someday.
Goals, Matt.
The new
All
boots
right.
are stunning, by the way, too, Holly.
Oh, thank
Just
you.
want to know.
You know, whatever it takes here in Montana.
There you go. That's right.
Well, moving on to news. At last night's Bozeman School Board meeting, trustees talked about a sharp enrollment drop.
Yeah, it's especially prevalent in the lower grades, and it could affect the budget. MTN's Annie Johnson picks up that story.
Before the pandemic, school board meetings were pretty standard, if you will, the usual things being discussed. But now, since we're in unchanging time, there's a lot more to talk about.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Waterman, could you do a roll call, please?
Monday, the Bozeman School Board held their regularly scheduled meeting through Zoom, which discussed a number of topics, including enrollment numbers, which will lead to budget decreases and less funded money for the district.
But the enrollment shifts that we saw this year are going to have some significant implications for us, both this year and as we look to the future. With the enrollment drop at the elementary level, 385 students, we will be looking at spending reductions in our general funds.
The meeting discussed other topics, including policy changes, recognitions and awards, and of course, public comments from parents.
Are you consulting with the county health department? If you are, what are they saying? And if not, why not?
This is a test we should have passed. We watched the rest of the world practically go through this. We saw what happened. We had ways to do it better, and we didn't.
Next school board meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 23rd. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Well, 3 more people in Gallatin County are dead due to COVID-19 complications.
Yeah, one was a man in his 90s, another a woman in her 80s. Both of them died in the hospital. A third case, a man in his 90s, died in a long-term care facility. All 3 died late last month. 13 people now have died from COVID-19 in Gallatin County.
The Butte-Silver Bow Health Department reports 2 more people have died at Butte's Continental Care and Rehabilitation. That makes 12 who have died there. Currently, 38 residents and 19 staff members have tested positive. Butte-Silver Bow Health Officer Karen Sullivan says with 12 fatalities and an active case count of more than 300 cases, in her words, quote, "We are heading in the wrong direction." Sullivan will be hosting a press conference today to talk about new orders and restrictions in Butte-Silver Bow.
So far, 484 people have died in this state from COVID-19. Besides the deaths in Gallatin County and Butte-Silver Bow yesterday, there were 4 more deaths in Missoula County, 1 each in Hill and Blaine counties. Across the Treasure State, 470 people are in hospitals. Total cases so far comes to more than 40,000.
Well, restaurants, bars, distilleries, and coffee shops in Gallatin County are working around some new rules placed on them by the Gallatin City County Board of Health, which met last week.
MTN's Gabby Crevitt catches up with one Bozeman business that's focused on making it through these challenging times.
Many businesses from across Gallatin County are adjusting to a new round of COVID-19 related regulations, which is posing some challenges for many businesses on Main Street. But there are businesses that are entering this new phase with a sense of optimism and determination.
Thank you, guys.
Tell Tay hi for me.
Okay, I will. I remember. All right.
When you walk into the Cat Eye Cafe, you don't get the sense you're walking into a restaurant. It feels like you're coming home. At the very start of the pandemic, we talked to head chef and owner of the Cat Eye Cafe, Kevin Caracciolo. It was back in March after the Gallatin City County Board of Health ordered restaurants to close dining services and operate as takeout only.
Today we did $229 in sales. Who am I going to pay?
Around 8 months later, the Cat Eye Cafe is standing strong, even with the newest round of regulations from the Board of Health that require restaurants and bars to close by 10 p.m. and lower capacity.
Originally, yeah, we were all nervous and scared and weren't for sure what was going to happen.
Ellie Staley with the Downtown Bozeman Association says businesses will indeed feel some impact by the new restrictions, but says people in the community stand behind some of their Bozeman staples, like the Cat Eye Cafe.
You know, this has been a very emotional time for our small businesses. There's no doubt about it. We have seen a few closures happen. I don't think that we're expecting more anytime very soon.
And the new restrictions might be affecting some businesses on Main Street more than others.
We seat fewer people, obviously, and so yes, it hurts. Yes, the daily revenue's not as big, but you can control that with control of your labor.
Some of these restrictions and really coronavirus in general is affecting businesses very differently. So while some businesses are very much thriving, some businesses are struggling.
And some, like the Cat Eye Cafe, are hanging on with a mask and big smile on their face.
Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Other headlines now. A 41-year-old Anaconda man died Sunday evening after a vehicle struck him while he was walking on Montana Highway 1. The Montana Highway Patrol reports the man was walking in the middle of the road around mile marker 17 when the incident occurred just after 6 p.m. The driver, a 57-year-old woman from Missoula, had no alcohol or other drugs in her system while the crash occurred. Speed was not a factor in the incident, according to the MHP. The man sustained serious injuries and died at the scene. Meanwhile, slick roadways in the Butte area made travel difficult for many motorists throughout the day Monday. At least 2 semi-trucks were involved in a slide-off crash on Interstate 90. One jackknifed on the highway just west of Butte. The other semi rolled on its side at the I-15 interchange. All incidents were due to icy roadways. No serious injuries were reported.
Also, a Butte man was arrested twice in the same night in connection with driving under the influence. Police arrested 55-year-old James Richards for the first time for allegedly driving drunk around 4:30 in the afternoon on Friday. After being released from jail, he was arrested at 9 o'clock that same evening for driving drunk. Now, the last arrest was a 4th offense and it is a felony. He now remains in jail. And after 20 years of community outreach and extensive cleanup work, the Environmental Protection Agency is closing its office in Libby. Now, the Libby field office on 9th Street opened as an information center as the Environmental Protection Agency was wrapping up its cleanup efforts after the town was declared a Superfund site from decades of asbestos contamination. That contamination stemmed from the vermiculite taken from the W.R. Grace mine, which was spread throughout Libby and Troy by filling projects, gardens, and workers bringing the asbestos dust home on their clothes. Hundreds died. Now, EPA will continue to evaluate what should be done at the mine property.
Well, boiling hot water in Yellowstone National Park is not for cooking dinner.
No, in August, rangers received reports of a group hiking with cooking pots towards Shoshone Geyser Basin. Ranger found 2 whole chickens in a burlap sack in a hot spring. Cooking pot was found nearby.
It was a party of 10, 2 men from Idaho Falls, Idaho, and 1 person from West Valley City, Utah, received mandatory court appearances for foot travel in the thermal area. One of the Idaho men has been banned for 2 years from the park and fined. Our CBS affiliate in Seattle reports that in 2001, a Seattle television personality dug a hole near a geyser to show that heat could cook a chicken. That landed the show a fine and probation for 2 years.
Just as a reminder, it is illegal to touch thermal features or throw objects into hot springs or other hydrothermal features. Water in hot springs can cause severe or fatal burns. It can also contain dangerous chemicals or sometimes bacteria.
Well, as we transition into colder weather, the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office wants to send a friendly reminder to residents about certain dogs in the cold. Deputies typically start receiving a lot of calls about heavy-coated northern dogs left in the cold, and the department says that's okay. The Sheriff's Office made social media posts telling residents heavy-coated dogs are bred to be outside in the cold weather, and this typically doesn't require deputies.
So what we try to do is just make sure that people know, if the dog looks like it's shivering and it's cold, then that's the basic. But if it's just out in the cold, there's really no need to call us. But again, if you're concerned, you give us a call and we'll come out and take a look.
Like Sheriff Goodkin said, if you're unsure, it's better to be safe than sorry, but it is helpful to keep the type of dog in mind. But below 0 temperatures, that's a different story.
And we're going to be seeing those from time to time. So be
Yeah.
on the lookout. Be
It
on the
is
lookout for your
so
own
important
pets.
to keep those pets safe and healthy
Take
in
care
the
of
cold.
them too. That's for sure.
Well, hey, watch out for this. If you got an email about a COVID study that could pay you thousands of dollars, delete it. After the break, find out why it's all a scam.
But first, let's check in with Gail King to see what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, President Trump is still refusing to concede, and now his attorney general is getting involved by paving the way for prosecutors to investigate claims of voter fraud. But the question is there any evidence? Plus, what the promising results from the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine could mean in the fight to end this pandemic as the U.S. hits a grim new milestone of more than 10 million infections. And we speak to Stacey Abrams today. She tells us about her mission to end voter suppression and helping Georgia set a new voter turnout record. People believe she can do that too. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.